Yes. Chair Grotenhouse,
Here.
Commissioner Stevens,
Here.
Commissioner Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Tharp,
Here.
Commissioner Kimball,
Here.
Commissioner Pierce,
Here.
Austin. I don't think Austin's on with us yet. Commissioner Conley. No. Commissioner Rache
Here.
and Commissioner Day.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Yay.
Okay.
Let's, is everybody taking a look at the agenda? And is there any comments, additions, deletions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Dwayne.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. How about the minutes from last meeting, from the December 1st meeting? Is there any revisions or changes to those meeting minutes?
Nope.
Okay.
Not for me.
Do I have a motion?
I move the approval of the December 1st meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So Wendy, we're to set designation of 728 North Main Street.
Yes, we
I
just for a little bit of
Go ahead.
backstory. I just want to make sure, Zach, are you recording? Okay, thank you, Zach. We started a program with our master plan, with the adoption of the master plan, to try and encourage people via some carrots to locally designate their property. For those of you who aren't familiar with local designation, it gives us some additional design review over these different types of properties that, sorry, got some feedback there. That are locally designated, that allow us to do design review that we don't have the authority to do when it's a National Register designation. National Register is basically honorary. So the more properties that we have the ability to review for changes, exterior changes, the more integrity that we can often keep in our historic properties. So the hope was that we would encourage people to do this. We haven't had a local designation in probably 10 years. And a lot of it is just concern about the local government being involved in property. And that's typically the feedback that I get. So in lieu of trying to get larger districts established, we're trying to come in with a local designation with the idea that once the designation is approved by council, that person would get celebrating a century plaque. And that would be paid out of the HP budget. So we can do probably 3 to 4 of these a year where people would get a plaque in exchange for local designation of their property. So that was something that we had put in for our goals, and we had put in for incentives for local designation. And this is the first that we've received. I have had interest by about 4 or 5 different properties, but no one is really interested in doing any of the research on their home. And that was part of also what we're trying to encourage, which was to get them to take some interest in their property and do some research on their own properties. So this is the first of those. I'm hoping that we get more as COVID restrictions ease and we're able to get into more of our archives. I'm hoping more people can get out and would be interested in doing more research. But right now, a lot of the archives that have background on individual properties closed. So hopefully toward the middle and the latter part of this year, we can go ahead and encourage people to go back out. And I can reach back out to a lot of the people who talked to me originally and who decided to postpone local designation. But this is the first. It's 728 North Main Street. We do have a designation of a potential local historic district for this area. There was not a lot of overall integrity, so we haven't pursued a local district. But this was a property that was deemed eligible as a contributing property to a potential district. So based on its overall architectural integrity, its age and unique architectural style, and its location in that North Main district, it's deemed of local designation. I am open to any questions that you might have. For the most part, the overall integrity of both the property and the house are intact. The only thing that's changed is the addition of some steel siding. And the original siding is underneath. I was told by the current property owner that the steel siding was added because of hail damage. So other than that one feature, the property retains its overall integrity. And so I'm open to discussion for the commission if you have any questions or comments about this property. If you decide to support the designation, it will, from the Heritage Commission's approval of a resolution, will go on to the Planning Commission. That will go for an HL overlay for the zoning, which is historic landmark overlay. So it'll keep its R6 single family zoning, but it would also have an overlay of the landmark so that anyone who comes in for a permit would know that it has to go to Heritage Commission for any type of exterior changes. And then it moves on to the council. City Council would approve it via ordinance, and that would be done in 2 readings, hopefully by the end of February. And then we could go ahead and move forward with any type of plaque that would be eligible for. And I'll turn it back over to the commission. Again, if you have questions or comments or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them or address them.
Oh, that sounds good to me, Wendy. It looks like a nice house. I wish there were more photos. I was kind of wanting to see the interior and some more photos, but I only got, it was only the one, right?
Yes, I apologize. Unfortunately, with the issues that we're having with our computer right now, I have some additional photos, but I can't get access to them. I could also get you the designation form, but that's also locked in my computer. We don't have drives to or access to our drives right now, and
still,
consequently, I can't get access to the majority of the records that I have for this property. I can reach out to the property owner and see about some additional photos, but I'm at the mercy of the property owner if they're able to take them and email to them. That's really the only way I can access them right now.
I don't think more photos are necessary for, at least for my benefit. But.
It's also, and I tried to get a better view, and you can get a little bit better view on Google Maps. But because the other 2 properties are so close to the property lines on the north and south side, you can really just kind of only see the bays that are on either side and not much else.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went on Google to get a little bit different view, but not much.
Yeah.
Just a question. Was there any discussion or interest on their part of ever going back to the original siding, get rid of that steel?
I didn't ask them about that. They told me that siding was only added in 2017, so I'm guessing probably not right now.
That's pretty new, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's intact, it's underneath, then it would easily be able to be removed.
Fine. I was just curious.
Did we offer the Higginbottoms an opportunity to speak with us tonight? I'm fully supportive, of this, but I'm just interested to know what their motivation was. I mean, I think it's great, but what their thinking was, what their motivation was, what their interest was in historic preservation, or do we have an application from them that we could see, where they submitted or declared, their interest in this designation?
I do have an application. I was just able to get it scanned in today, so I wasn't able to send it out in time. They basically just checked off the boxes that they felt. They didn't put any background material in. They basically just checked off the boxes they felt for were applicable for significance, and then signed the application. So I can get that to you, but there's no additional information in there. Greg Higginbotham is actually a local historian and a reenactor. He does a lot of historical tours and does some preservation tours. So his interest is local history and the preservation of the house. They also were very interested in the plaque and thought that was a great exchange, I think, was local designation for the ability to kind of highlight the history of the house with the plaque.
Mm-hmm. Were they invited to come here tonight or to speak?
They were. I sent the staff report, the designation report, and the link to the meeting. I did stress to them that it was not necessary for them to be at this meeting, but that the Heritage Commission is always very, very encouraged to speak to property owners, that they really enjoy engaging with the property owner. And so if they had an opportunity to call in, to please do so. But by no means were they required to. And I stressed to them that staff actually walks it through the process. So once they get all their paperwork into me, they don't have any other role that they're required to play from this point on. So they were encouraged to, but if they were unable to, then that was fine as well. And that's how I phrased it to them.
Sure. I just think it would have been nice to virtually meet them. That's all.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no one on the commission bites as far as I know. And you know, we always like to have the property owner give their side of the story. And
Put his hand up, though.
Especially in this case, you know, it's just super nice that they're interested in moving forward with this process. And again, we haven't had it in so long. So I'm hoping it's maybe the start of a new trend for the next decade that will have quite a few.
Well, and that brings up I just had one other point, and that's about these 4 or 5 other properties you said were interested in local designation. Are they also in the North Main neighborhood?
They're not. They were kind of all throughout the city. One of them is the Silver Heart Inn on Nolan Road.
Oh,
and then there are quite a few just single family homes, people that were interested. One was off of Winter Road. Another one was kind of nearby Winter Road, closer to Englewood. So no, I think it's just a matter of allowing people to get access to all of the resources, and then encourage them to kind of go through this process, and then I can kind of pick up just as I did with this one and kind of feed it through the designation process. So hopefully we can get back to that as some of these restrictions ease.
This might be a silly question, and maybe just because I'm still fairly new and getting used to all of this, is that someone's job to like verify what they mark down on their form? Or
yes.
Okay.
That would be me.
Okay. I wasn't sure how that worked.
They actually hired past to present research to do the ownership history of their house. And the woman who does those has a pretty significant, she was on the Heritage Commission at one point, but has a pretty strong preservation background. So all of her research would have been done via census records and city directories. And then all of the rest of it was pulled together mainly by me, which was just the general description of the property and the materials that are on the property. And then some of it was relayed to me by the property owners. So yes, it is my job to make sure that it's as accurate as possible.
That's super cool. I didn't know that how that would work. So that's cool.
Are there any other questions or concerns, questions about the process?
You know, some property owners might be put off by the costs of, you know, hiring past to present, doing the research. Are the costs reasonable? I mean, do you have like a ballpark that we could share with anyone viewing tonight, or, you know, interested in exploring this, but maybe kind of put off by thinking they can't afford it?
Sure. Yeah. You don't need to hire a consultant to do any of this work. I can pull together the vast majority of the architectural significance. It's mainly the ownership and anything else that they can contribute from maybe previous owners. So all of this information is typically available at 2 or 3 of the local archives, including the Midwest Genealogy Center. And that's something that anyone can do in a relatively short amount of time, under an hour, to do a lot of property owner research. So it's not required to spend any money on that.
That's great to know.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm just, super excited that we have a designation again, and I'm hoping that it piques some interest. But in particular, I think it's great. It's always nice to go to Planning Commission and Council and show them that preservation is moving forward, particularly with meeting some of the goals that we've set for ourselves in the next 5 years. So it's kind of, a win-win as far as I'm concerned, both for the preservation program and for the property owners and meeting our master plan goal.
So how long will this process take at this point, Wendy? I mean, will this be brought up at the next city council meeting, or?
It goes to the Planning Commission January 26th, as long as they give their recommendation for the designation and that overlay, then it would move forward to the next council meeting. And I hope no later than the second council meeting in February.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I fully support this. I just, like I said, I wish there were more pictures, but I trust the staff report and staff recommendation. So should we get a motion?
I agree.
I move we recommend 728 North Main Street for the local historic designation.
Okay,
Second.
and can that be via resolution?
Yeah, well, whatever's the best word. I was just looking at recommendation here. So resolution sounds fine to me.
Okay, the recommendation, I can put that exact recommendation in. Could you read that, Dwayne? Do you have that in front of you?
Well, I was looking at the agenda, and let me see down
It's not
here.
on the. I don't think it's on the agenda, Wendy. So
It's at the bottom of the staff.
it's on the
report.
staff report. Right?
Let me get that right page. Okay. No,
The UDO is listed there, and so if I could just have that as part of the motion, that would be great.
let me get to the right page here. Okay. It's part of one page and part of another. The recommendation that the commission by resolution reflects their support for the designation to the planning commission.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yes, that'd be just fine.
Okay. You have my permission to word it appropriately.
I will do that. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, and
All. Do we need a roll call vote? Or?
can I do a roll call? So Chair Grotenhouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Tharp,
Yes.
Commissioner Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Conley's not present. Commissioner Pierce,
Yes.
Commissioner Richey, and Carol, you both are non-voting on this, I assume?
Yes.
Resolution as well.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes.
No, that's just fine. I just wanted to make sure we haven't had a resolution in such a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, that takes care of the designation, and I will let you know if there's any hiccups with the process. Otherwise, we will hopefully have a newly locally designated landmark by the end of February.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Wendy, for all your work on that.
Oh, no problem at all. Anytime we do something positive and it's a good thing in front of the council as well, it's wonderful, but thank you.
Right.
Are you implying that we don't do everything that's positive?
Well, yeah, we got a lot of attention when the log cabin got moved.
Yes.
Some good and some not as good. So when it's 100% positive, I like embrace that fully. So.
Well, I'm just kidding you.
So the next is at the last meeting, we took a look at some of our preservation goals based on our master plan. The 2021 goals are partially based on that conversation and partially based on what we had adopted last year. And basically we broke it down into 3 different sections, one for planning, which is mainly what takes place in community development, one for outreach and events, and one for training. Training is pretty straightforward. Anyone who can attend the CLG annual training in Jeff City is encouraged to do that. And then to seek out additional opportunities for training that might be in either online or maybe later in the year in person, that can meet our CLG requirements, our certified local government requirements. And that allows me to include that as part of your required staff training in our CLG annual report. So that takes care of training. The other is both planning and outreach. And if you'd want to go through that, each goal, we can absolutely do that. If you feel this kind of meets the conversation that we had and the goals that are outlined in the master plan, then that's fine as well. So I'll turn it back over to our chair and just let me know if you have anything to add or anything for discussion.
My opinion is it looks good because it's what we talked about last time. But if anybody else has any comment, I'm open, and we can read it too. I could read it if you want me to. If everyone does not have a copy, or
well,
like everyone was emailed a copy. Is there any other comments?
I was emailed a copy as I was not at the last meeting, but community outreach and like social media type things I am really passionate about. And if there's anyone who has any ideas with that or want to partner up with me to spearhead something like that, I'd love to.
Cool. That's
We
exactly
do
what
have,
we're looking for.
yeah, we do have an outreach and events committee, and that group is typically involved in the development of the Preservation Month calendar for May. And then also assists with the development of the walking tour themes that we do each year in the fall, and then any other outreach that people would be interested in. So if that's something you would like, we'd absolutely encourage you to jump on for the committee. Amy Hart, who was our previous chair, was involved in that. And since she is gone, we now have, I think, 2. Are we down to 2 members on that committee? I think it was you, Sam, and Amy.
Yeah, right.
And Carol.
Well, I did the church walking tour, so I don't know whether I was on the committee or not.
I don't know that you were back on the commission, Dwayne, before we have had our last meeting.
Oh, that's probably true. I wasn't official then.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be glad, to be a part of it.
That would be great. Carol, are you still interested in that?
Yes, I think I would be.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to? Amy's work requirements had us meeting at 6, but since Amy is no longer on, we can easily meet during working hours, or at this point, just meet online when it's convenient for anyone. So the obligation is maybe 2 to 3 meetings a year. It's pretty minimal, but it's wherever your interests lie is what we'll kind of taper our events and activities to.
I love that.
I'm fine either way.
Do we have a steady social media presence? I always try to tweet about our meetings or try to tag like the city in our meetings, or post like you can find our meeting on City 7. Is there someone who's consistently doing things like that?
No. The short answer is no. About 2 years ago, the city consolidated all of their social media posts. And so Preservation had a Twitter page and a Facebook page, and we had about 300 followers, which for Preservation was decent, but it wasn't enough to warrant keeping it separate from the city's main page. So the city consolidated us into the home page. And the problem is now COVID has just taken over. So between the larger, food events, testing events, what will probably soon be vaccine events, we have just not been on their radar. So again, I hate to blame everything on COVID, but I'm hoping by the end of the year we can start getting, pushing out our Preservation Month events again, we're still hoping to piggyback on the bicentennial events that we can hopefully develop this year. And I'm also just hoping, for a while we were posting things about learn about architectural styles, just signature dates and people who influenced preservation in the community, specific buildings, walking tours that people could take that are in brochures. Really any opportunity to talk about the built environment, we were doing that, and that has just at this point kind of ceased. So I do hope that picks up again, and will encourage the city's CIO and any of the other staff to hopefully get more posts out that highlight preservation.
Cool.
We do not currently have a presence almost at all. The only good thing,
you're social media savvy, Kaylin, and we could really use that on the commission.
Follow me on Twitter and retweet me.
Okay.
the
Shameless
only
plug.
good thing sorry.
Speaking for
good thing
myself, I'm not social media savvy, so it's great. Yeah.
The only good thing I will say is that because the tourism division does highlight our city-owned historic sites, preservation is out there more often than not as far as the sites go. We just don't have the ability to just randomly talk about preservation and architectural styles and important architects and building development and that type of thing that we used to do. But at least the Vale, the Bingham, all of the city-owned historic sites are still out there, and we're still they're very active on the postings that they do for those. So there is a brighter side to all of that.
Wendy, while we're on the subject of programs, I mean, is it too early to talk about scheduling a meeting for, I don't know, February or something like that? I seem to recall that's when we would usually have our first annual meetings.
We do. We usually have 2 meetings, somewhere around the 12th or the 13th, one for February, one for March, to finalize the Preservation Month calendar. I don't know that we'll be able to do anything but online this year. So we probably look at developing an entire year's calendar to highlight the bicentennial instead of just Preservation Month this year. So we can absolutely do that for February and look at February and March, or I think even if it ends up being in April, it's not going to be interfering with the development throughout the summer and the fall.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'll throw some dates out for those of you who might be interested, and we can just plan on meeting virtually. Before some of you got here, I had mentioned that we're going to be transferring all of our online meetings to Microsoft Teams, and that's likely going to be the format that we're going to use, the platform that we're going to use for the next Heritage Commission meeting in February. So that will probably be what we'll use for any future planning meetings as well. And for those of you who are not familiar with it or have any training that's required, that's something that the city's looking at currently to make sure everybody is comfortable with that.
I think I've got family help. I think my daughter uses it at work, so that might save me some embarrassment.
Yeah.
Well, we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with it and everybody can easily get in and out as they need to. So we'll make sure that everybody's at that point, Dwayne,
Okay.
before before we get going on the next meeting.
No.
That would work better for me than GoToMeeting. I have trouble with the audio connections on GoToMeeting, but
Is there a reason we
Great.
don't use Zoom?
This was just what was chosen because my department uses GoTo for several different meetings. I think they do Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment and one or two other meetings, and they just chose GoTo. I did not have a say, so I just use what the department uses. But we'll be using Teams soon. So just to run through, we're always looking at deferred maintenance issues, and we're just going to continue to look at, how maybe our codes department, our codes division works on that and see what we can do to partner with them. I'm still going to encourage our ComDev and our PRT directors to come to these meetings. It's great to get updates, especially as we get closer to getting the Truman Depot back open. So it'd be great to hear from Eric Urfer, our PRT director, on the status of that and maybe, how he intends to use it in the coming years to help promote both preservation and heritage tourism. Always looking at new grant opportunities and how we can get a match in, and then also to develop that low interest loan program. I know Austin reached out and said that he has some contacts, and so I'm going to see about trying to reach out to different contacts in the community about whether they'd be interested in doing that. Otherwise, we're always looking for community partnerships. We look at Preservation Month, and we look at our walking tours in the fall for our outreach. And that's kind of collectively, that's a lot for 9 members and 1 staff member. It definitely keeps us busy throughout the year. But, anytime that you have something new or you hear of another community that's doing something and you'd like to take a look at it here, I'm open to any of that. These plaques, for instance, were originally started in Liberty, and I am happy to pilfer from them and see about bringing that similar type of program here. It's very doable, and it works within our minimal budget. So those are the types of things that I love to look at and adopt in Independence as well. If there's nothing else for the goal, if you want to move forward on approving these, and then again, at any point, we can have an additional discussion about adding or tweaking these goals throughout the year.
Do we have a motion? Does anyone
Wendy,
want to?
can I ask a
Go
quick
ahead.
question? Sorry. Yeah, or Ron, may I ask a quick question? How are we going to measure success or progress in these different areas? I mean, some of them are clear, but the example of building council relationships or tackling deferred maintenance. How are we going to do benchmarks, so to speak?
Yeah, these are kept vague intentionally because our ability. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise. Our ability to meet them varies from year to year, partially on budget, partially on goals that the council has developed. They've got their own set of goals that they're looking to meet. So, sometimes they mesh really well, and other times, they may not be the highest priority for their budget, for council budget. The Build Council Relationships has been the same for about the last 10 years because when I first started in preservation, we had a commission member who was basically a liaison to the council. And that person was able to go to the council and talk with them about priorities that the commission had and how they might be able to be met at a council level. And we've just not had any representation from about 10 years ago on.
Yeah.
It's always on there because the hope is that there might be someone interested in doing that again. It would really be someone who would like to talk to probably our district representative for District 1, because that's where most of our historic sites and our district is located. But it could also be for the at-large. But the hope with that one is that we get someone who would serve in that role again. The others are intentionally left vague so that if new programs come up, for instance, with tackle deferred maintenance, that we could go ahead and have, that tackle deferred maintenance be something that gets started in our codes division, but something that we can kind of support through preservation to meet that goal. So we've left them vague intentionally without having benchmarks for meeting the goals or whether or not we've been successful, just really to kind of build off of what other departments and divisions are doing, and also to allow us to be flexible throughout the year if something else changes.
Okay. Okay, super. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Aspirations.
Yes, it kind of is. It's almost
Yeah.
a resolution
Not
list
so much of a goal. Yeah.
as opposed to a goal. But it's something that, it gives us some focus. It gives staff focus and allows me, when I have the opportunity to jump on something that I think might meet one of these goals, it allows me to do that because this gives me the direction based on what you feel is as important in that year. So.
Okay, great.
Well, do we have a motion for the adoption of the goals and objectives?
Would love to.
Well, that seems to be my duty tonight. I move that we accept the Heritage Commission and Preservation Division goals for 2021.
I'll second it.
I think an all in favor is fine.
Yes, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Okay, I don't see any public. Are there any public persons on the call? Does not look like it. Okay, so we'll skip that and go to Heritage Commission again. And I guess just I could start one quick follow-up on Microsoft Teams. Will that mean that we could communicate with each other through Microsoft Teams once we get that set up?
I believe so.
I use it a lot, yeah. But I just wondered if it was kosher. You know what I mean? Does it meet parliamentary procedure?
I will check into that. I believe it documents any of those conversations.
As long as we copy everybody.
And it would also record any of our meetings. So right. I think that would meet any sunshine law requirements, but I will double check with City Council.
Yeah, so that might be kind of nice because it's a quick way to communicate.
Yeah.
Be willing to learn.
Yeah, even sending out, photos and meeting agendas and things like that. I think it'll be a good resource for us to have, rather than the emails that sometimes get lost.
We currently use it internally at the city, and it works fairly well, and it does allow the communication to be a lot more open. So, but I'll double check on that with the city clerk's office and just make sure it meets all of the requirements.
Okay. That's all I have. Any other comments? What's new, everybody?
Dog had comments.
Sam always has comments. Sam always has good tidbits to bring up.
I don't know if they're good, but I'm not shy about it. I did have a quick question about the Thompson Plantation home fire. Is there any update on that? What was that, Ron?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
I couldn't let the meeting go by without
exactly.
I've not heard. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this, this is an antebellum home that sits on 40 Highway that just succumbed to a fire. It is not locally or nationally designated, so the Heritage Commission doesn't take a look at it unless they're looking to demolish it. At one point, it was turned around, so it actually was oriented the opposite direction at one point. It has not moved forward based on anything that the owner is wishing to do with the property. And because of that, I don't have an update from our dangerous building specialist. So I can check in with him again, but he knows it's on my radar and he knows that that it's of concern. It may be something that we get direction from higher up in the city about something that they'd wish to do with it, either to try to find, a new owner or tax incentive. But because it's privately owned currently, we're kind of at the mercy of whether or not the property owner had insurance and whether they're wishing to move forward with repairs or demolish.
Was it a local property owner, Wendy, or out of state?
The last time I spoke with the property owner, he was in, I think, Raytown. But I don't know if that's the same owner that owned it when the fire happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll double check with the dangerous building specialist and just see if they're local or not. They were local the last time I knew.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Shall we move on?
So from staff, I just wanted to let you know that the Truman Depot's groundbreaking is supposed to take place on Truman's birthday on May 8th. I believe that's going to be mainly council members that will be there, maybe the mayor. But I did want to let you know that if you'd like to attend, I'll make sure that I can get an invitation out to you. If you just are interested in the progress of the project, I will let you know where we're at with the RFP, and then as we progress with it, when it will likely be completed. But that will be coming up sooner than later, and it looks like they will be able to complete the project this year with no additional hiccups. But they have the approvals in place from MoDOT. They have the approval in place. I think they've cleared everything with architects. The main thing that's been holding the project up is Union Pacific. They would like to see some improvements at the intersection of Pleasant and Pacific. And their requests are very expensive, and it's not something that the city is looking to entertain. So I understand that the city has been trying to get back with them and tell them that those improvements will not be done by the city, and then get a final write-off from UP that they can move forward with the project. So the last project status report I received, that's where they were. And once that's done, then they can move forward with the RFP. Other than that, I have one or two 106 reviews that'll be coming up soon, so I can give you updates on those at the next meeting if they move forward. And we have a property owner who wants to put in solar panels who is on Maple. So we will likely be getting a COA for that for the February meeting. And if not, I will let you know if we have anything else moving forward on the agenda.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Is that it for tonight then?
That's all on my end.
Well, I think it's time for Dwayne to make a motion. We adjourn.
I'd be glad to yield to someone else. I'm going to get a reputation here.
Too late.
Okay. I move that we adjourn from our meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No one opposed, I assume.
Well, not opposed.
All right.
Thank you all.